He had never raced at 2 miles before. He had won a listed race as a 3-year-old, I think. So the next thing was, he was up to 2 miles. He made all at Newmarket, which was a little bit of a surprise result, but we were hopeful that he'd stay.
Belongs to Big Orange, who lopes across with this big stride to dispute it with Vive Ma Fille.
And I got pestered a little bit on the lead. Sylvester took me on a bit on one of Mark Johnson's, and I ended up sitting second, but I committed pretty early, and then he got attacked by George Baker on the outside. We had a battle with him originally.
Quest for More joins Big Orange, then towards the inside, Vive Ma Fille.
And then Trip to Paris came on the inside, who, to be fair to Trip to Paris, probably one of his greatest performances because he was carrying the penalty for winning the Ascot Gold Cup. But my fella, he's a dour stare, wonderful attitude, and literally, I'd say he's right up there, one of my favourite horses to ride.
Trip to Paris, the far side. Big Orange sticking his big neck out, is just in front, and Big Orange maybe. Big Orange, I think, has spearheaded the Qatar Goodwood Cup from Quest for More and Trip to Paris. Often racing for the Qatar Goodwood Cup. Curb your...
2016, I ended up not riding him in his previous race. I rode the Grey Gatsby at Newmarket, and James MacDonald rode him. He won. He made all and won. So I was pretty sick pulling up. And then I ended up getting back on him for the Goodwood Cup. And at this stage, I'd ridden him in Dubai and hadn't gone probably fast enough on him, I felt, because Vazirabad beat me, but I was coming back to him. He beat me a neck and my miles cleared the rest. And I just had him in mind to just jump and let him rip as fast as he wanted for the first half a mile. But Goodwood, you can do that, and because at the 1.5 mile start, you run down into, it looks like a dead end when you're on a horse. It's like there's a bunch of trees and the ground runs away from you. So the horse has to be nimble, and in effect, the horse will back off because it's to grasp the ground and get balanced, they have to slow down. So I think he was right up near top speed going to the turn, and then he slowed himself down, got a breather. And when I turned at the 5, it was in the mist that year. And when I turned at the 5, I just let him go. I knew that if the other horses came with him, that he'd break their hearts. And yeah, it was the last 2 furlongs was easy because the others came and they looked like coming to challenge. But then at the furlong pole, when I gave him a couple of backhanders, he stretched away and won a good bit easier than the previous year.
Big Orange can. He's galloping on relentlessly. Palisator, Sword Fighter, fighting out second and third with Sheikh Zayed Road running on late. But Big Orange, this big horse, will once again put up a big performance. Back-to-back Qatar Goodwood Cups.
When you thought the tank was empty, he'd dig deeper and find a bit more. And once the conditions were right, he was a very difficult horse to beat. He got fast ground, 2 miles plus, weight for age races. He was as good a stayer was around at that time. You only have to look when he was going to try and win his 3rd Goodwood Cup. He got beat by Stradivarius, giving him a chunk of weight. So it shows how good he was at the time. Yeah, fond memories of that horse.